Got a good thing coming, and it's all I need.
Well, it's hard to believe that 2024 has come to a close, but it has been a remarkable year. And so what I want to do in this video is give you a glimpse of so much that has happened over the last year, and also a little peek into what we're focusing on this year in 2025. It's a lot, so buckle up. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to break this recap down into three parts: the growth of the church, the growth of the individuals in our church, and the growth of our impact outside of this church. If you're a numbers person, you're gonna like this. So in 2023, our average attendance was just about 500. In 2024, our average attendance grew to 823, our average weekend attendance. That kind of growth is just nuts. In the last 8 weeks of 2024, our average attendance was 1,034. Again, it's just mind-blowing. In 2023, we baptized 56 people. In 2024, we baptized 94 people. Our online engagement went from 943 in 2023 to 1,680 in 2024. It's been incredible. Now, a lot of this big growth for us as a church is because we started Thursday night services. As a church, for people who don't go to church, this has been a dream really since we started the church. Like, what if we tried to do something that wasn't on Sunday morning? And what's been amazing is that on Thursday nights, we're averaging over 200 people, which is great. And the people there, they're new people. Some people have shifted over to help make space on Sunday mornings, and that's been cool. But overall, the crowd, like from the front on Easter Sunday and on Christmas Eve, it feels a little different because there are so many new people in the room. I can tell, like, the people I'm speaking to, they don't laugh at my jokes, maybe because they're not funny, or maybe because they don't get my sense of humor. Like, it feels like they don't really know what it's like to be part of the church. And there's that same feeling on Thursday night. There's so many new people. It feels like I'm talking to people really who are strangers. And it's been so exciting. So Thursday night has been a huge win. The growth overall as a church has been remarkable. Now, if we look at the growth of the individuals in the church, this is a process we call discipleship. Discipleship is how you measure someone's spiritual growth. Now, it's hard to measure someone's spiritual growth. You really can't do that. But you can measure steps that are taken in the direction of spiritual growth. A big part of what we do for spiritual growth is our community groups. This year, we had about 315 people engaged in groups. Groups are where people connect relationally and grow spiritually. We also consider team involvement to be a point of discipleship, a point of spiritual growth, because it's a step in the direction of greater engagement. And you know, if you're part of the team, when you're given a responsibility, when you're part of someone else's spiritual growth, it does something to your own spiritual growth. In 2023, our team was 193 people. In 2024, our team grew to 315 people. Those are the people that are doing the work that's sustaining this growth. It's been unbelievable. Two other things we did were really based in the message series on Sunday morning. One of them was Making Sense. It was a series on how to interpret the Bible. It's called Making Sense of the Bible. And we went through each of the genres in scripture and talked about how to interpret those. I gave some practical tools for interpretation. And then from there, we did a Bible reading plan where some of you, for the very first time, were reading your Bible on your own. It was so cool. We had over 500 people at least start one of the reading plans for those weeks after the series. Another thing we did was on prayer. It was a big prayer initiative. It was during a series called More Than Words, where we looked at the Our Father, or the Lord's Prayer, and tried to make sense of it. A lot of us are familiar with the words, but don't really understand what's at the heart of it. And I challenged you to pray that prayer 3 times a day to help give you perspective and to really get into the habit of praying. And so we sent out a reminder for everyone who subscribed. There were over 100 people who subscribed to receive those reminders to pray 3 times a day. It was so cool. Some of you have said you're still doing it. Some of you have said you were trying to do it. Maybe this is a reminder you need to get back to it again. But it was so cool to see so many people doing that together as a church. And so now the growth of our impact, the impact outside the walls of community church. For the first time, we had the chance to do something called Church Has Left the Building. Every year, right across the street, there's a fair with about 30,000 people who show up for the annual fair at Argyle Park. And so it's an all hands on deck thing. We decided not to have services. We opened up our parking lot and people went out and served. And it helped us communicate that we want something for you, not from you. We want something for this community, not from this community. It was so cool. We also had the chance this year twice to partner with Babylon Strong, which is a group that does amazing things for people right here in our community. We did everything but the turkey, which was a drive right around Thanksgiving that provided food for families in our community. And also we did our annual giving tree with Babylon Strong just a few weeks ago. We provided over 500 gifts to 69 families right here in Babylon Village. It was so cool. Another thing we had the chance to do is get behind someone in our church who was running their own hurricane relief drive. A guy named Rob from our church owns a moving company, and he decided to offer up his trucks and to try to fill them with resources to help those who are trying to recover from the hurricane damage in the southeastern part of the United States. And so we ran a drive here. We helped him fill those trucks. It was so cool to watch. Well, if you've been with us for a while, you know that we're into starting new churches. We believe in new churches. And in order for a new church to start, there need to be people outside of a community believing in and supporting what's happening in a community. That's how we started. People outside of Babylon believed in and supported what was happening in Babylon. And 2 years ago, we were able to do that for Portland, Oregon. We were able to help start a brand new church in Portland, Oregon. Well, just 1 year later, this past year, we were able to believe in and support a brand new church, not in another part of the country, but in another part of the world, in Bucharest, Romania. And so that for us is 2 churches in the last 2 years that we've been able to help start and are currently supporting. And it's so exciting to see the impact of community church now spreading off of Long Island. So a lot has happened over the last year at Community Church. There is so much to celebrate. It's been so amazing. It's been a privilege to be a part of. I wish I had more time to go into detail with each one of these things, but I don't. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you more about them. But in the next few minutes, what I want to do is give you just a little glimpse of some areas of focus for us over the next year. So this year, one of the things that we're focusing on, and really what we have been focusing on over the last year as well, is something that we call discipleship. Discipleship is really just a fancy way of talking about spiritual growth, how someone continues to progress in their relationship with Jesus, how they continue to build their confidence in him and develop a real life-changing relationship with him. And so groups is part of discipleship, the team's part of discipleship, the Making Sense series, the prayer initiative, all that was part of discipleship. Culture and leadership was part of discipleship. But we're looking for ways to clarify next steps for people. We're looking for some kind of curriculum or program. And we don't just want to pick one out and let it fly. We're trying to figure out what works for us specifically here in Babylon, for people here on Long Island who are new to church, new to this whole relationship with Jesus, and trying to figure out what spiritual growth looks like. And so we've run a couple test groups. We're going to continue running a few test groups. But if we're going to oversimplify it, we're great at getting people on the bus, but we want to figure out how to take them further in their faith. And so that's happening, it has been happening, and will continue to happen in the background. And I'm excited for what's ahead in terms of discipleship. Now, in order to make that happen, one other thing we're trying to do, and you've heard me talk about this if you listen to our last quarterly update, we're trying to hire staff. As the church has continued to grow, the staff has not continued to grow. And I mentioned last quarter that we started the process of looking to hire someone, but admittedly, that process is way harder than I thought it was going to be. We don't just want to bring anyone in here. We want to bring someone who understands people on Long Island, who understands and appreciates people who are new to church. And so we're trying not to rush this process. We've had a bunch of candidates come in. People spend the day with us on Sunday. People spend the day with our staff. But we're taking our time with this. As badly as we need to hire, and at this point, it's not just one person, it's more than one person. As badly as we need to make hires, this is not an area where we want to mess up. And so we're taking this process very slowly and carefully. If you keep us in your prayers, that would be great. But I'm hopeful that relatively soon we will have someone here who makes this team and ultimately this church even stronger. The last thing I want to let you in on is going to be vague and ambiguous, but I think it's important to let you in on this as early as possible. It's been so obvious that God is doing something amazing here in the church. It's been like this really since the church has launched. We've seen unexplainable things, unbelievable provision, and remarkable growth over the last 5 years. But the question that we're asking is, what do we look like over the next 5 years? 5 years from now, what does the church look like? If things continue to progress the way that they are, how do we keep up with that in a way that's healthy? We've done 2 services, 3 services. Now we're doing a 4th service on a different day of the week. And it's so exciting. There's so much to celebrate. But this building can only accommodate so many services. We can only do so many services. There are some limitations here. And as amazing as this building has been, and as like amazing of a gift this building has been, there are some limitations and we have to make adjustments. So what I'm asking you to do is to pray for us, that God will give us wisdom, that he'll lead us, that he'll direct us, that he'll provide us with what we need to continue to grow in a healthy way. And I want to encourage you to watch as God continues to provide and as things continue to move forward. Watch at how amazing it is to be part of something that God is doing in this community. It really is a privilege to be part of. All right, so last thing I want to do is leave you with a story, which is shocking, I'm sure. But typically at this point in a video like this, I leave you with a story of life change, a story of someone whose life has been changed because of the way that you've given, the way that you've supported, the way that you've engaged, the way that you've served, the way that you've been involved in this church. And those stories are amazing, and they are my favorite stories to tell. But this time, I want to tell you a story, not a story of life change, but a story that I think represents what's happened this year so well. So every year we have a team Christmas party where we get the team together, we eat, we celebrate. It's a big thing. We dance, we play games. It's a lot of fun. It's always a highlight of the year. And this year we're at the team Christmas party, and there was a raffle. And right after the raffle was the time of the night when we open up the dance floor, and you have that like segment of time where everyone's out there dancing. But you got to get people out there dancing. And I was told that when I finished the raffle, my wife Allie told me, I better get people out on the dance floor. If I didn't, the party was going to be ruined. Now, those weren't her exact words, but that was the message that I received. And so I finished the raffle. It was fun. And then it was time to get everyone out on the dance floor. And I start trying to get people out. I'm like, come on down. It's going to be fun. And I'm struggling. And I'm feeling the struggle. And now I'm feeling like I'm going to ruin the party, because that's what I was told, at least. And all of a sudden, John walks up to me. John's a member of our team. He walks up to me, puts his hand out, asks for the microphone. He goes, give me that. I see what you're trying to do here. He grabs the microphone, and as soon as he starts speaking into the microphone, it became very obvious that John knew exactly what he was doing. Turns out, I didn't know this, turns out John's a DJ, and the next hour or 45 minutes or however long it was just electric. While that's not like such a moving story of life change, that for me was such a perfect picture of what this year has been. The growth has really only been able to happen because so many people have stepped up and said, let me do my thing. Let me do what I'm good at. Whether it's people investing in the lives of our kids, in our kids program, because that's their thing, because that's what they're good at. Or people hosting on Sunday and making people feel comfortable, because that's their thing, that's what they're good at. Or serving a bagel, or leading a group, or cleaning the building, because that's their thing. I don't know if anyone like loves cleaning the building, but there are some people that appreciate the process of that, and they have stepped up and they're cleaning the building. And there's people who are running errands, and there are people who are playing instruments in the band, and there are so many people each doing their thing. And that is what has made this church such a special place. What's amazing about that is that the Apostle Paul talked about this 2,000 years ago. He said that the church was a body made up of many parts, and the body grows and it's held together by every piece, he says, as each part does its work. And that's what we've had the chance to witness this year. We've seen the body being held together and continuing to grow at an unbelievable rate as each part does its work. And so all that to say, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for making this church what it is. If I had any challenge for you, it would be to keep doing what you're doing, to keep doing what you're good at, to keep serving the way you are, to keep supporting the church the way you are, to keep engaging the way you are. And I think we'll continue to see what he was talking about 2,000 years ago and continue to be part of something so, so special that God is doing right here on Long Island. So thank you for being who you are, for doing what you're doing, for helping us to build a church for people who don't go to church. Till next time, Happy New Year.